Hello everybody, my name is Sergeant Crist. People call me Scott, but actually around these parts I'm known as Scooter. And I'm known as Scooter because they call me Scooter the Shooter. And most people think that that means with the gun, but for me, it's really been with the camera. So, you know, a lot of you are probably wondering, you know, in combat, if you're photographing somebody, you're shooting pictures while they're shooting bullets at you. So some might say that you're a little off to do that, but trust me, it'll be an exciting year for you. The other thing that most people want to know about is what it's like to go into combat for the very first time. So I thought I'd share one of the stories that happened to me on my very first mission in country. So I'm an aerial combat photographer, but I work out of the public affairs office in Saigon, and most of the work that I do is for public release. And so when I came in country, I immediately started going around to document Air Force operations around Southeast Asia. And one of the things that I was fortunate enough to do is fly on combat missions, quite a few of them. And this particular combat mission was at night, and it was on an airplane called a AC-119 Stinger gunship. And they fly in pitch black. You don't fly with any moonlight at all. The bottom of the plane is painted black so the enemy on the ground can't see you. And so we all get on board, and this is actually flown by the Vietnamese Air Force, right? And so the American Air Force is on board as advisors. And so for me, I'm in the area down below. There's a pilot that's an American pilot helping the Vietnamese Air Force pilots up on the flight deck. And then there's an American advisor, a loadmaster, gunner mate kind of guy down in the flight area where the guns are. So we're up and we're going out on a mission, and we're going after something called POL, and I learned that that stood for petroleum, oil, and lubricants. So it's a fuel dump basically to blow it up. And so we're going along and we're taking some ground fire, and so you can see that coming up because it's pitch black, right? And there's tracer rounds every so many rounds, and you'll see them coming up through the air and making, you know, explosions, that kind of thing. And every now and then on the intercom I heard this, field goal, field goal. And I thought, wow, I don't know what that means, and I'm the new kid here, so I better wait. So I waited until we got down. Fortunately, we didn't get any rounds in the plane or anything like that. We got down on the ground. I waited to talk to the loadmaster, and I said, hey, you know, on the intercom I heard this thing called field goal. And he said, yeah, you don't know about that, right? And I said, no. Well, take a look at the airplane. So the airplane, the AC-119, is a twin rear end. So there's two booms that go out, and then there's a cross member. And so the field goal is when the flak comes up in between, right? And so if you're in the area where the guns are, you're really pretty close to that area where the enemy rounds are going up. So from that day on, whenever I flew a combat mission, I made sure that I knew where my parachute was. Got to have that pretty close by. So you get to fly in combat missions, but you also do a lot of other types of photography. There's things that you'll do. Oh, that's me. I had a little more hair back then, but I had to shave it for a special fitting of a helmet. Yeah, that's it. But you'll get to do a variety of photography type things throughout the year that you're going to be here. One of the things that I'd leave you with that I've learned is that all of us as photographers are pretty much observers of the human condition or the human life. And you know, what's really hard for me personally was that, like I described the night combat mission, I would be flying a combat mission where we're engaging enemy forces. Then maybe later that next morning I might be in a commander's office and I'd be making some type of an award presentation, photographic record of that. And then later in the afternoon I might be doing something like this, where I would be getting out into the orphanages. And these are really the victims of the war. A lot of times the kids that are in these orphanages, their parents have been killed. Oftentimes they're maimed by some of the enemy rockets and mortars and that type of thing. So the range of emotions that you experience when you're in a combat zone is going to be kind of frightening. The only thing that I would leave you with as an example of what I've learned, and I think it'll affect me the rest of my life, is that you need to develop tolerance for other cultures, other races, other points of view. Even though you're in a war that is not very popular with the folks back in the United States, do your best to understand the culture that you're involved with now and learn from those people. They're really quite warm and inviting. I spent a lot of time in orphanages because I think that's really the essence of the outcome of what happens in a war situation. The people were really warm and friendly. I've developed a lot of great relationships, and you know, overall, I wouldn't want to do this again, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. And one of the interesting things for me, I actually was awarded the Bronze Star at the end of my duty. This is my last day here in country, and then I get to fly home. So this is pretty special to me, because usually Bronze Stars are reserved for commissioned officers, and I'm an enlisted guy, so to get one of these for the kind of photography work that I was doing was really pretty special to me. The other thing that had happened for me is I was recognized. I competed and won a position at Syracuse University, so I'm going to go back to the United States and go to college on the Air Force's dime to become the Air Force's first trained or recognized photojournalist. And so I'll spend the last few years after I graduate from Syracuse traveling the world and doing picture stories for external news release. So thanks for listening. Welcome to In Country. I'm going to go catch a plane now, and I get to go home to my bride and my baby girl. She's now 2.5. So thanks a lot.